when and how do you take your fuel and tyre stop? What's your tyre degradation like? What's the behaviour of the car like today versus yesterday? Does any of the analysis from yesterday apply to today?
The biggest challenge they must face, Neil, is when to come in for those tyres, because obviously you want to stay out there as long as you can so you've got fresher rubber toward the end of the race. The question is, are you going to be able to work in with a safety car period? It can work against you or really for you in that situation.
Yeah, and the teams monitor race control, and what the Holden racing team will have done then is they'll have heard on the radios that the safety car's been put on standby, and then somebody will have been heavily focused on what those movements would have been from the officials, and then as soon as it looked like that thing was going to launch, they'd have brought their cars in, and that's the way in which you play and win this game.
These blokes know how to play and win better than anyone. 4 out of the last 5 Shell Championship Series crowns going to the Holden racing team, and they're the absolute dominant force on the streets of Adelaide, taking 4 out of 5.
The other thing that I noticed, they had perched up above their pit yesterday. I was wandering around, they've got a little camera there, and they're recording their pit stops, and no doubt they'll look at those when they get back to the shop during the week and just analyse individual performances, look for improvements, think about what's going on and how to find another second here or there.
Looking inside.
Look at it going across the racetrack with the horse racetrack.
The Victoria Park Race Complex, the racing track, the motor racing track here is a permanent motor racing facility. It obviously only gets used once a year, but then they go back out onto the streets of Adelaide. Green flag, we have resumed racing, lap number 28. The Clipsal 500, disjointed in the early laps. Lowndes bolts on old tyres, or cooler tyres is probably the best way to describe them.
Nice clean start for the restart. As Lowndes heads up Wakefield Street, swings hard right. He'll follow him through. Hopefully they can get through relatively unscathed. We quite often see a drama or two when the cars go back to full speed after a few laps behind the safety car. The tyres cool down, the pressures drop, the cars get a bit skatey. Hopefully everyone can just keep their heads for a couple of laps till we get up to race speed again. Look at this sandwich here. Castrol Commodore Kmart car.
Radisich still really blow-torching the back of Murphy here. He was very close to him on the exit of turn 7. Look at this. And see that Ambrose is in there as well. He's very close. I said before, he's moved up to 10. What the safety car does is revitalise battles, and look at this battle here. Down the inside of Larry Perkins goes Greg Murphy. Radisich buys into the battle. We'll rub a bit of paint here. Don't want to be on the outside for the next left-hander.
A little bit of what would you call that?
I'd call that make your own arrangements, mate.
I just don't think Paul likes the shape of the standard XR8 car.
No,
he's off. Gone into the wall.
Having a bit of a laugh about that, but that's actually caused a lot of damage to Radisich. I don't know whether he cut a tyre or damaged his steering, but he's just gone straight off.
He gathers his thoughts up. We all know the words. Frustration. The car jumps out of reverse. This is a Grange dog boxing these things. No synchro. They're not easy to get in reverse. Got to pick the lever up, and no, you can't drag it out of the tyre wall.
Well, what a shocking turn of events for Paul Radisich.
To gate reverse, guys, you've got to pull the lever up out of the D10, pull it towards you, and then push it towards the dashboard. It's actually quite a tricky thing to do. Sometimes you need to rock the car to be able to get the gear.
Well, Radisich has brought out another safety car. Safety car's on the track.
And Bright's taken that stop.
Oh, he's got it going.
So I think Brighty's done both his stops now, so that puts him in pretty good shape.
Sure is. A lot of drivers took the opportunity there when they went back to green to get some compulsory stops out of the way. Have a look at what happens to Radisich here.
Well, he's hung out to dry on the wide part of the circuit. Larry's got him up on the ripple strip, and he makes contact. There's where the damage is done.
Left.
I wonder if he's broken his steering or cut a front tyre. Let's have a look at this from the outside. Maybe we can get some more information from this.
The car just doesn't turn.
Oh, steering. Look, it's dead straight, isn't it? Steering arm or something. Just didn't even attempt to turn, did it?
Oh.
While all that was going on, because of the position on the track that had happened for Paul Radisich, a lot of teams very quickly revised their strategy, calling some of the big guns in to complete their pit stops before the safety car board went out.
Yeah, you got to be on the job.
We had a glimpse of Jason Bright just doing his stop. Look at the dirt and muck on this thing. They're using the hammer to try and drag the guard off, and there's obviously some other problem.
Line out of flat. Send it.
Send it.
Okay. Just be very
careful is the message. It's a cold front left tyre, and not sure of what other problems they might have. So there is another problem. Could you see the look of disbelief on Radisic's face when he was sitting in that tyre? It was almost like, oh, no. You know, he instinctively actually wanted to get out of the car, and then he went, oh, hang on, and then you sort of cool off and you think, what's my next move?
He knows he's got problems here. You can see that smoke belching from the left front tyre. The crew will be keeping him informed. So what he's got to try and do is just limp it around.
That was an awkward place to be. I mean, on the outside of Larry, who's not known for, you know, Larry's a hard but fair racer, but he's not going to give you a ton of space.
Well, the team thought that Paul was just going to come in to replace a flat tyre. Of course, they did have a look and noticed a little bit more damage, but they took the risk and sent him back out again. They will come straight back in again and have another look, which is a terrible, terrible, unfortunate thing for Paul.
Yeah, we see some heavy discussion going on there. Dick Johnson, the team owner, Brian Lawrence, the new Dick Johnson Racing team manager, in there too. Boy, isn't he having a baptism of fire this weekend. He's got one of his cars running very strongly. This other one, the Shell number 18 car, it's got great speed, but boy, it's been in the wars.
Dyno was under the front left looking there before to see what the problem was, but you heard them say send it. The reason they say that is they don't want to drop too much position. Better to gather your thoughts up, stick a tyre on it, get it back out there, try and stay on the lead if at all possible, and then maybe get some equipment or whatever the part is that you might need, bring it back in and have another lunge at it.
That's the critical thing, isn't it, Neil? If you remember how Tony Longhurst ended up leading the FAI 1000 last year, and that was as a result of the Stone brothers keeping him on that lead lap. He had all sorts of dramas early in the race, and the Stone brothers kept bringing him in under safety car, doing repairs, getting him out back on the queue, bring him in, repair it a little bit more, keep him in that queue. We're back to full green.
And the word from race control is that Bargwanna still has to make this stop to sort out this lack of brake lights that are showing on the rear of the car, or not showing on the rear of the car. So he's going to come in and have to attend to that. Radisic in the pit lane, as you'd expect, as we watch this battle going up through East Terrace.
I wonder what the officials are going to do with Bargwanna's car, because you are allowed to do other work on the car apart from refuel if you're doing tyres, or do tyres if you're refueling. So I wonder if they'll be able to do that brake light repair and maybe do a compulsory stop at the same time.
Now, the Shell Helix Racing team just don't want to give up. They know that there's a lot of points available here this weekend, and even though there is quite bad damage to the left front corner of Paul Radisic's car, they want to fix it to get as much points as they can. To do that, they have to finish, so it's a battle to the end here for the Shell Helix race team.
Must be an awful sight for Brett Bull, the chief engineer on the Shell 18 car. He turned up here this weekend with a beautiful brand spanking new machine straight out of the workshop. Look at it now. It turned it into a steaming, smoking wreck yesterday.
We don't have to worry about, gee, I don't really want to scratch my new car.
Yeah, he's broken it in.
Well, you were saying about that pit stop for Bargs. I don't think they'll allow that, would they, Mark? If he comes in, they tell him to come in to fix his brake lights. I don't think they'll allow him to...
I'm sure they won't let him double up. Yeah. You can do other repair work on a car, but if you bring him in for a specific reason, there's no way they're going to let him double up as a compulsory pit stop as well. So it's going to be expensive for Bargwanna. Russell Ingall, we hear, is in pit lane as well, so a lot of the guns coming in. And we're back to the lead. Craig Lowndes in the lead. Stephen Johnson in second. Jason Bargwanna well placed now on the Valvoline car. There's Russell Ingall.
Yeah, Bargs hasn't made any of his stops.
Here comes Marcus Ambrose as well. He's been doing a great job fighting his way up through the pack.
Oh, look at this battle here.
Well, that was Ingall's second stop, in fact. Just been checking with our pit monitors there, so Ingall's going to be well placed as well. He's got both his stops out of the way. Lap 32. He's still got a long way to go. He should have enough fuel on board now to go to the end, and he's also made his compulsory tyre stop.
You were referring before about the Bargwanna stop, though, Mark. I don't know whether he's actually been black flagged yet. He's been given the bad sportsmanship flag, as I understand it, but if he's been black flagged, that's a different thing. If he's black flagged, he can't take the compulsory stop and the black flag stop all in one. But if it's only a bad sportsmanship flag, maybe he can do either the fuel or the tyre stop.
He's getting a stop go. He's getting a stop go.
Rob Crawford Rob Crawford telling Greg Murphy, don't worry about Bargwanna. He's getting a stop-go. And here comes the stop-go. See how awkward that pit lane entry is?
Yeah. It makes you think, did we find out what the score was there? No, I don't think I did.
Just a correction on that Ingle situation. We had some confusion on the pitch there. That was his first stop. He hasn't made his second, so Ingle is on sync with everyone else. He only came in for fuel, so he's still to make his compulsory time stop. Jason Bargwanna, and he's taking on fuel. The team's going to look at this as one of their compulsory stops.
Paul Taylor from Avesco looking in there in the white shirt to the left of the car.
Stephen Johnson gets out to making one of his stops.
I tell you who is well placed is Dean Canto. He's 11th and he's done both stops.
Well, that's a bit of inspired strategy.
Look at that. So that sticks him in front of Brighty. So you'd have to say that he's right up the front there somewhere, wouldn't you?
That's a very, very good effort by Terry Steer's team to get Canto in and out and get the two compulsory stops out of the way. But the interesting factor toward the end of this race is going to be coming down to tyre wear. Who's got the freshest tyres? Oh, he missed the apex of that corner by a fair way.
Well, Halliday went wide and so did Bright. Sort of suggests that maybe something was on the road there.
The real question, Neil, is going to be when we get down to the end, we've got a 20 or a 30 lap sprint, who's got the freshest rubber on the car?
And I'd say that Scape's looking pretty well positioned in all that at the moment, given the way they've unfolded their strategy. But these races can be so weird. A safety car comes out, blows your strategy apart at the wrong time, as you said before, and then you're like,
Go back to the drawing board. This is the fascinating thing, though, you don't see when you're out in the grandstands or watching at home. You don't see the incredible amount of work that's going on behind the scenes with tacticians just working through this almost endless number of variables, trying to determine how they can get the advantage on the rest of the field. It's a mind-numbing exercise, certainly something I wouldn't have to be contending with.
But in some cases, that team could be so unbelievably lucky and so unbelievably unlucky.
Exactly. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if the safety car doesn't fall your way, it can all go to nothing. Craig Lowndes, 3.1 seconds down the lead over Greg Murphy. Mark Scaife in third. Is Stephen Johnson coming in for his second stop. So Stephen Johnson, the Johnson team choosing to get him in and out as well, get those compulsory stops out of the way, so he's going to be able to go to the flag. Larry Perkins also making a stop. So we'll keep you updated as we know where these cars are situated and what their pit stop situation is as well.
Lap 35 of 78, Shell Helix race score shows Craig Lowndes as our leader by 3 seconds from Greg Murphy, Mark Scaife, John Faulkner, Todd Kelly. Look at Anthony Tratt up there in 6th. That's a great performance from Glenn Seaton and Thomas Mazzero.
Tyler Mecklem and Jason Richards round out the top 10, but keep in mind a lot of these teams in this sort of muddle here are yet to make their stops.
Ashby Bargwanna, we saw him take that stop before. Stevie Johnson will be working his way back. Hard day for Larko, he's dropped a lap.
Yeah, there's plenty of action here and plenty more to come on the streets of Adelaide. Don't go away, back after this.